a work in progress. It's something certain until that surface. Like one step, two step, until that new step gets me on purpose. It'll all be worth it, cause I'm in process, a work in progress. It's something certain until that surface. Like one step, two step, until that new step gets me on purpose. It'll all be worth it, cause I'm in.
What's up, y'all? It is finally here. Oh my God. Welcome to the Creative in Process Podcast. That sounds so funny to say, like this is the first one. And I'm so excited. I'm so happy that you're here, that you decided to tune in. However you came across this podcast, you're here now. And I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful. And just welcome. My name is Nia Land. In case you didn't know, I am going to be your host going forward. This is a passion project of mine to be able to do this, and I'm just really excited that you're here for this. So I wanted to kind of spend this first episode just explaining what Creative in Process Podcast is, how it came to be, and shed some light on why it was created so that you'll be able to get a better understanding going forward on why I'm doing what I'm doing and how we moving. But again, thank you so much for being here. This was no small feat to get to this point, and I don't know how far we're gonna go. I don't know how big it's gonna get. I don't know how long it's gonna last, but all I know is you are here and you're a real one for checking it out and just seeing what it's all about, and I appreciate you for that. So for those that may not know me, some of you all know me, some of you all don't, so I'll just kind of dabble in that. You'll get to know me more and more either way as time goes on, as I share more. But just for those who have no idea who I am and what this is, I am Nia Land. I am a full-time independent singer, songwriter, artist, performer, and just all-around creative individual. And I've been doing my music thing for many years. And this is just another branch of my creativity, expressing myself through conversation, which is something I love to do. I love to run my mouth. And as a songwriter, I have a lot to say, but sometimes I like to leave my songs on the table for you as a listener to interpret and to get what you want out of the songs on your own. So some of the stuff I don't share directly in my music. A lot of it I do. But if you listen hard enough, you'll get to know more about my personality just through listening to my music. But I have a lot of beautiful conversations on a day-to-day basis. And a lot of times I'll be talking with someone, a friend, or just even someone that I met just in passing. And it's like, man, this could have been a recorded conversation because this is really, really good. So the podcast partly came from that space of me wanting to be able to expand some of these interior conversations that I have in my everyday life with you, because I know that it can relate to different lifestyles, different ways that people kind of move through life. And, some things aren't talked about as much. And I'm very much a push the button, push the envelope type of person. So I like to get in there and talk about the less common, the less popular topics, the less trendy things, and kind of go from there. So as a singer-songwriter, in 2019, I came out with this project called Inside Out. It was a visual documentary / interview / music video live performance thing that I did, which you could check out on YouTube. It'll be in the show notes as well. But this project came out in 2019. At the end of 2019, and of course the next year was 2020, and I don't have to tell you what happened in 2020 because it was a lot going on. And as a creative person, the plans that I had for Inside Out, fell short because it was things I couldn't do, obviously, because we were on lockdown and all the things were going on. So Inside Out did not get the space that I believe that it deserved for the type of project that it was. And Inside Out basically was not just me being on camera and singing and that kind of thing, but it was really a conversation about my music journey and how it fused with my personhood from start to current, or start to middle to current, where I've been, what's been going on all the way in through where I'm at now, and just the different revelations that I had to come to. So it's not about like, hey, I performed here, I sung this song, I did that. It's not like a breakdown of my music catalog. It's not about that. It's about the internal things that I went through as an artist, finding my identity and, having those moments of insecurity and how I came from being so fixated on acceptance and what people thought, that it stopped me from being my full self as a creative artist. And so that project was really special to me because since it was released, a lot of people, a lot of creative individuals have come to me and just shared how much it affected them, because they can relate to just feeling like, number one, you can't be successful in your uniqueness and your creativity because there's so many things that you're competing with on the outside, and just having to go through that identity crisis and figuring out yourself. So I highly recommend that you do check it out. But that was kind of the starting point that led us to this Creative in Process podcast, because there are tons of things that I wanted to do. I've dibbled and dabbled in some of the experiences, having live in-person conversations with creative artists and, kind of digging more into the deeper conversations about being a creative and how it affects your everyday life and how life itself affects your ability to be a creative. So all of those things, and it brought me to this point. So now this is kind of me stretching out and giving Inside Out the attention that I believe that it deserves, and going beyond that, because there's even so much more to get into beyond that place. So that's why we're here. So this podcast is for everybody. I believe that you can get anything from the podcast. You can get anything from what I'm intending to present. But I want to first give this as a love letter and a gift to my fellow artistic creatives. I won't just say creative people, because if you're honest, we are all creative in some kind of way. Like, it takes creativity to figure out what you're gonna wear every day. It takes creativity to figure out how you're gonna get your car from one point to the other when you only got $5 and your car on E, so it takes creativity to critically think and all that kind of stuff. So it's for everybody, but a lot of the conversation is about how everyday life affects the creative. A lot of times when creative people get together, artistic creative people, it's more about like, oh, what are you working on? What do you do? How do you do what you do? And that kind of thing. And we can go on and on and on talking about how we do what we do. But behind that, it's like, how did you get to where you are from the standpoint of like, where did you get your confidence from, or lack thereof, or what are you dealing with that's holding you back from getting to the next place? And I think that there are a lot of conversations surrounding that we just don't have, because people see the finished product, they see the beautiful artistic creation, but they don't know how many times you want to quit, how many people weren't supporting you, how many people made it more difficult for you to get to where you're going, and how you just struggled with feeling like you were worthy enough and all of that kind of stuff. So I am a bit of a deep thinker. I think that, life itself we're going to always be trying to figure something out or get more information or explore the depths of life. And I am one who loves to investigate human behavior, like, even from the more shallow things, like, dude, seriously, like, what made you do that? Like, that was dumb, all the way into like, wow, what made you think of that? That's actually really brilliant. So I like to consider human behavior in a lot of things. And so I think if I wasn't a music artist, maybe I would have been some kind of psychologist studying human behavior in the brain and that kind of thing. But while I am thoughtful in that way, I do like to have a lot of fun. I'm known for my sense of humor, so sometimes I could be a little funny, not trying to, but I like to joke too. So this is not gonna be super deep in like, you're not gonna go through your deepest trauma every episode. Like, we're gonna help and heal and move forward and laugh and cry and all of that stuff, and we're digging into everything. Like, this isn't just music and how you created your artistic project and you came up with that dance and made that film. We're talking about relationships, personal relationships, romantic relationships, business partnerships, friendships. We're talking about health and wellness and personal issues and highs and lows and all that. We're digging into all of that. But I'll just say it's only going to be as much as you want it to be, because I want to really spread this out and extend it to you, the listener, to be able to experience Creative in Process podcast along with me. So while it's just me on camera right now, I want it to be a conversation. There will be guests, some really amazing ones that are already in my back pocket that I'm excited for you to see and just kind of see me in this space. Because if you do know me in any capacity, you know the music, you know how I present and how I perform and that kind of thing. But I do like to talk. And another thing about it is, like, I will not say that this was like the thing to do, because if we're honest, there are 1,000,005 podcasts. There's a podcast about everything. So I was actually apprehensive about doing this, because in my mind, I'm like, everybody doing a podcast. Why would anybody want to listen to me do this? But this came to me with deep conviction to like really do something like this, just from conversations that I had with my fellow artist friends and just seeing people give up on their dreams and all of the psychological stresses that come with being in this space. So for me, it was important to get this out, and I felt like this is a way to do it, to express in this kind of way. So I will say that I believe that when it comes to podcasts, a lot of times, a lot of people use this microphone and the cameras or whatever as an amplifier to basically spew their personal grievances about situations that are not for the sake of helping others. It's more about like, you just trying to get this off, get it off your chest and that sort of thing, which is cool. But I feel like there's got to be a purpose behind it. So if you know anything about me and how I do what I do, everything has a reason. I'm not just doing stuff because it's popular. I'm not just doing stuff because everyone else is doing it and it seems to be working. Everything has a reason and a purpose. And so I assure you, and you can hold me accountable to this, that this is not a space for me to talk about my personal jabs that I want to throw at people by way of my success or by way of my platform. That's not what this is. I really want to share stories and encourage and even be encouraged, because I know that it's bigger than me, and there are people out there that have enlightenment and have encouragement that maybe I haven't even tapped into yet. So this is just a space where I want you to feel safe, and I want you to enjoy, whether you're driving to work, whether you're, at home, relaxing, you're taking a walk, or whatever the case may be. I hope that this is a space that you feel like you want to come to get, a portion of what you need to continue to move forward in your purpose and in your journey in whatever it is that you do. But because I am a creative artist, that's kind of where I start from, because that's an expertise that I have. I can stand behind the things that I say because I've walked them out. And there are things that I'm still learning. So as time goes on, even with this podcast, things are going to change. Like the setting is going to change, the look of things is going to change and all of that stuff. So it's all a process, even this. So this in itself is a testament to why I'm doing what I'm doing, because you may be out there trying to figure out how to move forward in something that you have going on. And, you can see me kind of processing in real time, because it is a process, everything, all the way until it's over and done and we're no longer here. Every day is a process to get to the next thing. So you have to kind of be willing to go through that and not try to skip ahead and all of that. So I hope that you're excited to be here, as excited as I am to have you. I'm looking forward to so many things that I want to share and give to you and all of that kind of stuff. So let's have a conversation. I am a bit extra, I believe, when I do stuff, but not extra in a way that it's unnecessary. I think it's a good extra. So just be ready for just stuff happening that is like out the box, because that's just where I live. I live outside the box for sure. Those are the main things I want to cover to kind of get this Creating the Process podcast off to the right start and get this first episode going. One of the things I do want to share, though, as it relates to us having a conversation and being a part of a conversation, if you go to the Creative in Process website, which is CreativeInProcess.com, all of that will be listed in the show notes. You can get all of those links. You'll be able to see a send a note button, send a voicemail. So with the voicemail, what I wanted to be able to do was allow you to be able to talk back. So that can be feedback about the podcast, what you want to see more of, what you want to hear more of, different things like that, questions about certain topics or just topics in general that you want to bring to the forefront. And some of those will play live on the podcast, or we'll answer certain questions and things of that sort. But you can go to the website even right now, drop that note, because I would love to know what you thought about episode 1, and you can leave your feedback or your questions or comments or whatever, and then I'll keep those for the episodes to come too. So I have a few different segments that I'm working on and all of that, but ultimately just keep me posted. Let me know how you feeling it and all of that kind of stuff. This is a very humble beginning. Like I said, this is not something that I just rushed to do because I just felt like, ooh, let me go do a podcast and everybody doing a podcast. That's not how I roll. So it's very intentional, and I intend to be very intentional about this thing. So with that being said, I'm going to leave you for now, but I want to leave you with a deeper impression of why Creative in Process podcast was created. Like I mentioned before, I had my project called Inside Out that I released a few years ago. I'm going to leave you with an exclusive listen because portions of this particular interview in Inside Out was released to the public, but there's a lot that was left out just for sake of editing and that sort of thing. But I want to give you the full interview from the Inside Out project to just kind of give you a deeper inside look at my thought process, my experience, and hopefully it's something that you can relate to, something that encourages you. Y'all stay tuned. Like, sometimes you have like a full vision of things in your head and you want to like really get people to understand how deep it gets, but you can only say so much, you can only show so much. So I'll say, if you have enjoyed even this conversation so far, please come back because there's so much more that I can't even begin to express to you. And overall, I just want you to have a space that you can come to. So dear creative, from one creative to another, it's going to be okay. There's so much in you that needs to get out. And I hope that this experience, this podcast journey, this season of this podcast, for however long it's intended to last, I hope that is something that feeds you and helps you to open up and express and be more of your beautiful self, because the world needs exactly what you have specifically from you. So I'm excited to get started. So with that being said, I'm going to leave you with an excerpt from my Inside Out project. Listen to it, check it out. If you're on YouTube, watch the clip, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next episode. I turned my light down and I shrunk from my peers and for everyone that I looked up to, and was made to feel that who I thought I was wasn't who I actually was, even though it was what was in me. I know there's always been more in me, but I let people, places, and things define me to the point where I stopped being who I knew I was deep, on the inside of me, but I didn't have enough affirmation to help me to know that it was okay to be who I was in my uniqueness, in my difference, in the things that made me me. And music was something that I used as a tool to just help me heal when I felt alone, because I didn't always feel that everything and everyone around me understood me to the point where I could just be free and be myself. So I turned that into songs and poetry and things that I would write. It was just like my time between me and God when I felt like I didn't have anybody else. And I got to a point where, because it wasn't the norm or the things that I thought to do or the way that I expressed myself wasn't what everyone was doing, somehow I got lost in the shuffle and stopped believing that it was right for me. And I shrunk. I dimmed my light. And now I'm at a place of recognizing that and understanding that who I am is purposeful. And I was on stages and singing and recording and doing all of these things for you all, but doing it from a very broken place because I didn't know if it was good enough. It was just all that I had to give, but it didn't look like what anybody else was doing. And some people that I surrounded myself with, or just wanting to be affirmed so bad that I didn't care whether or not I was getting positive or negative feedback, I guess you could say. I just wanted to be accepted. And if that meant I didn't have to, or if that meant not being who I was, I just took that instead and just allowed myself to be less than who I was to satisfy the masses. And from that, I realized how much I was bleeding on my purpose. And even though I was out and being active, I was doing it from a place of discouragement and fear and discontentment and all of those things. And that's not what purpose is. And so now recognizing that I'm able to grab hold to what's in me and embrace it and know that what I have and what I have to give is specific for a certain culture of people that will receive it and be encouraged by anything, that I do. So mainly at this point, I really want to give encouragement to those who, especially those that are creative, because sometimes when we're creative, we get inside our heads a lot and we are our worst critics, and we don't always embrace that there's something in us that is not in anybody else. And so it's important to believe on that and to really stand true in who you are and know your identity and go forth. And I tend to personally just not really share. I try to share through the music as much as possible, but there was a point where I just stopped caring. I just was existing and I wasn't doing what I love to do from the right place because I didn't know who wanted it. I didn't know who was going to accept it. And I had to resolve that there is a sound that's in me. There is something that's in me that is for specific people to be encouraged by. And I can no longer sit in the opinions of everybody else. I can't be who everyone else wants me to be. And I'm okay with that now. And I'm grateful for this place of revelation to really just walk in my identity and walk in who I am. So my music, everything that I have, it's coming from a place of wholeness now where before it came from obligation. And it's a very freeing place, and I'm so grateful to be here. And it took a lot of self-evaluation, examination to get to this place, but basically I just want to share that it's so necessary to embrace who you are and to know who you are and to walk it out, because there's so many ways that you can be. There's access to every kind of identity in the world, but there's only one you. And so you have to be willing to be brave enough to walk in who you are and not who anybody else is, even if no one else seems to be okay with it, if no one else seems to understand it. There is a plan and a purpose and a place for exactly who you are.
Okay, so how do you face challenges, as a creative, going through this process of, coming out of obligation, going into purpose? Do you still face challenges? And if you do, how do you overcome them as you walk through your walk in purpose?
So, and just because I'm in this place of, or I've gotten to this place of revelation about my identity and who I am, it doesn't mean that I don't have moments or times where I don't really know what to do or what's next. But I've resolved and I've learned that it's so important to sit, and that everything is not about moving, because we're in a time where you can move and do so much and just post whatever your action is or whatever. But I've learned the value of sitting still and waiting for the right timing of everything. And that gave me the ability to thrive in everything that I do going forward, because I don't feel the pressure of everything around me to just do. I could just be present and wait for the right moments to do whatever it is that I need to do or whatever is next. So I do have those moments where it's not always clear, but I know now to not use that as a place to get deep into dark places. I use that as a moment to sit and listen for that clarity.
Mm-hmm. So, or that's created. How exactly did you encourage them to start to shine again? And they didn't do how do you recreate that life? What exactly do we do?
There are a few things that go into re-emerging in the right mindset, because again, we can do all kinds of things, but be doing them with the wrong motive, with the wrong posture, with the wrong heart, and all of that. So for anybody that feels like they are in a place where they want to break out and they don't really know how, or they have things in them but they don't really feel like they're supported, or that they don't have the resources or anything like that, my encouragement to you is to pull yourself out of comparison, because for me that's where that kind of like weighed heavy on me, to not compare yourself and to really identify who you are and like charge that against yourself. Like, don't use that as a way to pair yourself with what everyone else is doing. Take joy in the things that encourage you and the things that you're passionate about, and walk out in those areas, and not be okay with knowing that there may be something in you that no one else has ever done, and walk that out and write that out and make sense of that, and just go in faith on the strength of that.
It's super inspiring that you're able to create opportunity. How do you exactly let a creative know, how exactly you created your opportunity? Because this here you create. But like, what?
What you got about?
Yeah.
The same question. Okay.
What I'm about. Because, okay, you said it on that. And then I would say, because you mentioned, as a visionary, as a creative, you have your mindset on how you want something to flow. And you mentioned something earlier about today, how you really didn't know where you were gonna end up today. Like, you just knew small bits and pieces. I kind of want you to expound on that, as well as what Ashley was mentioning about creating opportunity, that how you kind of like created this opportunity for yourself, blinded.
Okay.
Hi, I don't know what you really. No,
I'm okay. I'm okay. Don't encourage it now. Okay. So even being here today, and oh my God, you really just love you. Even being here in this space in this time, like, there were moments where, like, I remember being in my car not too long ago, and I was just listening to random music on my phone, and some of my old music came up on my playlist, and I just started boo-hoo crying. Didn't really know why, but I began to really reflect on it, and I realized how much of myself I dismissed, where I came from, because I let life tell me that who I was and what I've been through was not good enough. It wasn't what's happening. It wasn't what was popular. And I let that sink into my spirit and cause me to stop moving, because I didn't have any language for what I was. And at the time, no one around me really helped me get clarity for that. Or if they did, they turned it, another way. They played on the insecurity and caused me to just straight up like discourage myself. But I began to listen to his music, and, God just tried, he just started to share with me how I dismissed where I came from, and how necessary where I was is to where I'm at, and that I needed to acknowledge and honor the past. Not that I have to be a product of the past, but to honor it, because what I went through is for someone else who's either in it or going to go through it. And so even coming to this place, once I had that moment in the car, like, God literally arrested me and just started telling me what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, who you're going to call, and, all of these bits and pieces that came together. But at the same time, I had to go strictly on faith, because I had no context for it. I didn't want to do, like, I don't want to be sitting here talking to y'all. Well, I don't say I want to be. I mean, it's cool, but I wasn't prepared to get and talk and be vulnerable in this space. And so I had to rely on my faith to just go and do it, because it's for someone else.
So then innately and vulnerability,
vulnerability is the key to creativity. If you're not willing to be open, you can't touch anything in somebody else. What comes from the heart reaches the heart. And that's one thing that I was kind of groomed not to be, was honest. And though I poured out my honesty in my words, in my songs, and I kind of would like put my stories in the songs, and people would pass by and they would mention, like, man, I heard the song you did and it really touched me, or whatever. And that was my way out. When I couldn't do it in my life, I did it in the songs. And so when you're willing to break, you're willing to break. Like, you can break out once you break. And so it's so necessary to just be open and honest. Not that you got to tell everybody your business like that, you be wise, but you need to be open, because you can't be open to vision if you're so closed in and not willing to be vulnerable about, you know, where you are and how you're feeling and all of that kind of stuff.
So how do you tackle your fears?
It's direct. At this point, I stop fears at the door because they come, and I think the problem is we make ourselves at home with our fears, and that causes us to sit with them so long that they become a problem. But if we identify the fear when the fear comes and cancel it out, and, you know, because fears are lies, that's all they are. So whenever at this point, if I feel a fear coming on about anything, even, you know, doing stuff like this and what y'all getting ready to see, I had to take myself out of that and cancel that out, because it's like, it's not real. It's an illusion. So I'm not going to give it any power to spend time with me and start to speak to me. So I think that is, as creators, where we need to check ourselves at the fear level, because we need to identify why we're letting fear get so comfortable to us in the first place. So be fearless in all things, for sure. I'm now in this place where I am absolutely free to be me, and it's completely unapologetic. And I always wanted to be at this place, but I had no context on how to get there. So I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful to take everything that was stuck inside of me and to get it out. So I love you all, and thank you for your continued support, for those that have been following me through all of these years. And I'm here to let you know today that is a brand new day, and you're going to be seeing a lot more of me in a new way, and I'm ready to go. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you want to learn more about the podcast, you can go to CreativeInProcess.com, where you can sign up for email alerts, connect on social media, and submit your feedback, thoughts, and questions to have them included in a future episode. If you want to connect with me directly, you can find me at Nealand Music on all social media platforms. And please like, comment, share, subscribe, tell somebody about this podcast, because it only goes as far as you help it grow. I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Peace out.